Michael, thank you, band. All right. So I had the opportunity to speak at the American Veterans Post 66 this week on National Peace Day, World Peace Day, which was the 21st. I'm not even sure if people knew it was World Peace Day. A lot of people didn't even know. I was looking actually on my social media, and I realized very few people were posting about world peace on what was declared World Peace Day, and I thought, wow, have we fallen asleep about the idea around peace? Anybody? You get inundated with so many things going on in your life and so many things going on in the world, you forget that that's actually a possibility, right? So today I want to talk about peace, and usually when I put a chair up there, that means I need to hear even more what I'm saying. So I become the congregant, I become the student. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm sort of losing my peace of mind because I'm getting so involved in what's happening in the outside world and in the dynamics of my family and the dynamics of the church and the dynamics of my work and all those things. And we get so involved that we lose our center of peace. So we need to be reminded about how to get back to that. So peace is not the absence of war or violence. Peace is the absence of chaos and misunderstanding. Ooh, yes, you can be really awake for me today. We're a small but mighty group, and that everybody who needs to know what they need to know is here today. So I want to talk about how peace is the absence of chaos. Think about in your own personal life. When there's no chaos and there's no misunderstanding, there is a relaxed feeling about how you move and have your being in your own life. Does that make sense? But when things get chaotic, in other words, I don't know about you, but it's the dogs are always barking when I need them to be quiet, right? Anybody? All right? The door rings, and I'm like on an important phone call, you're like, shh, 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 right? And suddenly the littlest things start to move you and get you just a little bit, worked up. Does anybody get a little worked up? Anybody? Good. 4, 5, 6. Okay, good. We're getting good numbers. By the end, we'll have a good showing. Peace is the absence of fear. It's really a challenge to be absence of when you are not fearful about where your next drink of water is going to come from and whether it's safe, where your next meal is going to come from. If there is no fear around having a place of shelter and having clothing and having a job and having a career or feeling financially secure and abundant, when you eliminate those fears, you begin to live in a more peaceful state of mind. And, peace is sort of embodies all things. I mean, if people were to say, what do you really want? I'm like, if I have peace of mind, that means my health is okay, my finances are okay. Perfect? Did I say perfect? No. Perfect, things in my life, some things can be perfect, but mostly it's like if everything were kind of balanced out and good, there would be a sense of peace of mind. And that's what I want. Isn't that what we want? But that means there can't be fear surrounding what's going to happen next. Take a deep breath in. If you didn't have to fear the next, could you be fully present in this moment? If you didn't have to fear the bills coming or the next thing that I have to deal with at work or the next thing I have to deal with in a relationship, if you didn't have to cope with those things, could you reside in a more peaceful state? I believe we could. There are no hopeless situations. There are only people who've grown hopeless about them. Which, when I think about the fact that no one was acknowledging International World Peace Day, I'm like, I hope people didn't grow hopeless on that. I hope maybe it just sort of came and went and people just kind of forgot about it, but I hope we're not hopeless about it. But there are no hopeless situations. There's only our acceptance that something is hopeless. Once we accept that something is hopeless, or we have a pattern of mind thinking about something being hopeless, once we accept it, then it truly becomes hopeless. And then the universe conspires to create more situations where we feel disconnected from ourselves. Is that making sense? So there's no such thing as hopeless situations, because that would be like saying God has no more ideas. Does that make sense? Sort of says that's like, I liken that to saying God is not well, God is sick, God is poor, God is scarcity, God is full of lack and limitation. Those don't reside with us. Those don't, they don't sing to our heart because it can't be true. So if the universe can't be hopeless about a situation, what drives us there? Have you ever asked yourself that question? What drives me to the place where I become hopeless? I forget that there are new ideas out there to create something different. I have used up all my old ideas, and in the process of using all my old ideas, here I sit with my old situation, and I call it hopeless. Does that make sense? We're going. Peace, then, is learning to retrain our minds to process life as it is, rather than the way you think it should be. Let's talk about that. Peace is retraining my mind to be happy in the moment instead of always living on the expectation of what should be. Peace is residing in this moment. I have to retrain myself, and this is where I need to sit up here, thinking about all sorts of situations. I have to retrain my mind that when I'm in the middle of something, that peace has to exist, or I am just adding to the intensity of the disconnect. Does that make sense? If I go off, if I, in my mind, I go crazy, I get angry, I get frustrated. If I go off spiritual alignment in my own mind, all I've done is disconnect. I have to retrain my mind that as things pop up, don't react the way everyone else is. Which means don't turn on the TV. Right? Don't turn on the TV. Don't react. Just sit in it for a minute, Joe, and listen to what's inside of you. Because the second I tap into the anger or the frustration or the chaos or the misunderstanding or the fear, once I tap into that, I am no longer able to be open and receptive to that which is the answer. Instead, I just multiply the problem in my head. Does anyone have the problem of multiplying problems in their head? All right, good. A lot more of you. Good. So we tend to overthink things. Anyone's the overthinking? Oh my God. It's like, well, what happens if they do that? And then, oh my God, what happens if they do that? Well, if they do this, then oh my God, then I'm going to have to do that. And yet no one's even made a move, and you've already gone through this whole mental exercise like you've played this whole thing out. And you know the irony to that? I need to sit back and listen to this. The irony to that is they never made the move to begin with. And I spent that whole time and energy feeling miserable and going, wait a minute, they did, what? No. Doesn't make sense, does it? We have to retrain our minds. Jeff Harrison sent me something about, from Bruce Lipton, and it was a little video about how everything we do in our life is programmed before the age of 7. I mean, and there's all this research that we are programmed on how to follow rules. Think about it. How to follow rules, how to do certain things. And even success and failure are programmed by age 7. And then from 7 on, we're just playing out what we've already learned. And you think, but that doesn't seem right. But if you think about it, remember that book, Everything I Ever Needed to Learn, I Learned in Kindergarten? Right? Have you ever read that book? It's true. How to play well with others, how to share. I mean, all the good attributes of life were taught then. How to be kind, do unto others as others do unto you. Think about it. So if your training before age 7 had any kind of negative slant to it or impact on it, you're still carrying those things. Like you're not good enough, or there's never enough, or, don't be boastful about something, don't be braggadocious, don't get too much, all of those things that we were programmed in little kids, we now have been living out as adults. The only way to reprogram that is to retrain yourself. And to retrain yourself means constantly reminding yourself about what it is that is your truth. Peace stands at the door of our consciousness and awaits our acceptance of it. However, it does not stand outside your door waiting for entrance so much as it stands inside waiting to be expressed in everything you do. We always are looking for the avenue to gain peace, like it's some special, door that we're going to walk through and suddenly have peace. Peace is already within us, and it's a choice that I make, and it's a 100% up here. Look, up here. 100% choice for peace resides right here. Stop looking out there and stop trying to invite it in. There's nothing to invite in because it's right here. I have full control of what goes on up here. When I give that away, when I relinquish my positive outlook, when I allow myself to get wrapped up in something, I'm the one who turns the switch off to my peace. Does this make sense? So it stands at the door of our consciousness, not outside. It is just waiting for me to recognize it. Peace is an inside job. When you have it on the inside, you look around you and can assist in establishing it on the outer experiences of life. So have you ever noticed that Reverend Marion, you know Reverend Marion, right? A lot of you know Reverend Marion. Reverend Marion is a very peaceful energy, Even when things are upside down in the world, if you come into her presence, she just has that peaceful energy. I get to share this because I was with her. She had a little visit to the hospital this week. She's fine. She's doing great. She was cutting up and joking with everybody. And of course, everybody's really concerned about her health, and she's just laughing. And she looks at me. She says, "You know what? I need to know what my next assignment is at church." And I'm like, how about you just get out of this bed? That'd be really good for me. Just get up and be well. But she has that, I'm always looking for the next thing to do to help other people, to be of service, and that's the way she just literally expresses her peace. There are people like that. When they come into the room, there's just this calmness about them. They bring that energy, that take that chaos and they ratchet it way down. And you feel like, wow, I want whatever they have, right? Does it come in pill form? I'm always asking that. So how can we establish world peace when we can't establish peace in our own homes? I always say my own HOA. Our community, our city, our county, our state, our country, our continent, our planet, and our relationship to it. How can we establish peace anywhere else in the world? How can we get to world peace? And this is what I brought up in my talk to the veterans. I said, how can we talk about world peace when we can't get along with our neighbors? Our neighbors. Not a nation, not a different culture, right? But the people who share a fence with us, right? Maybe the peace song really reigns true, that it's going to have to start in our own individual homes. How many, don't answer this, do not raise your hand. How many relatives do you feel like you're not at peace with? Bless you. How many relatives are you like, she better not show up to Thanksgiving this year. No, How many people in your life are you in conflict with? Think about that. How can we have this lofty goal of world peace when we can't get along with each other? Maybe the job starts here. It starts in this room, and it starts with us going out into our own homes and our communities and really making an effort to retrain our minds and come from a place of peace. So what can we do to move the energy forward into a more peaceful state? It's not weapons or words, it's action. I don't believe it's words, because if you look at what happens on the world front, not just here, but the world front, one ego gets upset. That upsets another ego, which upsets another ego. And then what are we playing with? A bunch of egos, right? And it's all a bunch of words. It's all a bunch of just posturing. That's what causes our problems, are many times just the egos at play. So it has nothing to do with weapons or mounting weapons. It has nothing to do with the words. It has to do with how we treat one another. And it's personal. It's I call it hand-to-hand, heart-to-heart, and eye-to-eye action. It's actually getting down and speaking with people, talking with people, and looking straight in their eyes. I was watching some people talk to each other over dinner, and I noticed that people make very little eye contact with each other. They do, but just for a second, and then their eyes kind of dart away to someplace else. I'm like, when's the last time you had this? You know what? Case in point, every time I marry a couple, they look at me. They're standing up here, and they're looking at me. I'm like, don't look at me. You're not marrying me. You're marrying look in their eyes. I don't want you to look in their eyes. They're the ones that you're marrying. I want you to connect with them. I'm just saying a few words here, but you need to connect with them. That's what I'm talking about. That kind of don't look outside for people to lead it to you. You have to connect with people eye to eye, face to face. And this is another one. It's not about changing someone's mind to see our way of life or living. It's about accepting all people and seeing them as God made them. So it's not about trying to make you more like me. It's just recognizing your own uniqueness. The one who, in the midst of the storm, despite the raging of men and the chaos of material thinking, can enter into the silence and declare the absoluteness of his own being is the one in total unity with spirit. So the one of us that the person who's going to succeed successfully is the person who can go within when crazy's all around you. When chaos and crazy is all around you, it's the person that can go within. That's the person who's going to align themselves and move through an experience, whether it's a health experience, a relationship experience, a financial experience, whether it's job or your creativity, whatever that is, a person that it can go within is actually going to be the one who's going to succeed. So, am I going to be in agreement with people all the time? Peace is not an agreement. It's the absence of confusion. I understand you, you understand me, and we respect one another to make it work. Does that make sense? Peace agreement. There are many times I have to agree to disagree with people. A lot of people. A lot of people. Agreeing to disagree with people. But that doesn't make them wrong or me right. I just need to understand there's no confusion there. You understand me, I understand you, and I respect you for being you. And I'm going to allow you to be you, even though in my mind I'm thinking you're crazy. But I won't articulate that. Just kidding. I was trying to add a little humor here, trying to keep you guys awake. But I understand you, you understand me, and we respect each other. We respect each other enough to make it work. That's how I get into a peace agreement, if you will. All right? I don't have to agree with them everything. Peace is not agreement. Peace is respect. And the respect is not out of fear, but of love. That's another one. It's not a power play. It's not you have to respect me because you're scared of me or what will happen if we don't make it work. That's never going to work. That's coming from a fearful place to get resolution. Have you ever been in a relationship where you try fear as the basis of your resolution? Doesn't work. It has to come from a place of love. So that's what we're talking about. Not out of fear, but out of love. Treat your enemies kindly. You made most of them. Yeah? Yeah, that's the one you clap on. Of all the things that come in there, that's the one. Treat your enemies kindly. You made most of them. And it's true. We're the ones who usually, well, every time anything's ever happened, I've been there. Think about it. I'm always I'll call it the lowest common denominator or the one common denominator. I'm always there when things are going wrong in my life. I usually signed up for it. I'm there. I'm not present. All right. Someday we will come to perfectly appreciate the fact that no living soul is more important than any other one. That one I think is an important one. In order for us to come to a place where we start accepting our neighbors and accepting each other is to realize that no one is any more important or less important. Everyone is all important. It's all connected because it's all one. When we begin, like our mission statement, when we accept people of all faith traditions and all walks of life, that just means, you know what, we're all equal in this program. We're all part of God's image and likeness and creation. So we accept that, and it's easier to move on with that. So in Scripture it says, whosoever you ask in my name, it shall be done unto you. And when you break that down into Aramaic, it means in the nature of. So no two people have the same definitions of what it means to be in the nature of something. So we have to recognize that when we ask for something in the nature of, it's not going to be as specific as we would like it to be. But let's say this, how about if peace comes from the quality of peace that we provide for other people and ourselves? The qualities. I may not, again, specifically agree on some specific things that will make peace come into your life or my life. We may not be able to agree on the specific things, but what if we could agree on the qualities of peace, like respect and like honor and like, withholding judgment and being non-judgmental and being unconditional with one another? What if we could accept the qualities of that and call that the nature of? So in other words, we're not talking about specific, we're talking about in the nature of God, I can see you as that perfect person. Van Gogh said, if you hear a voice telling you that you cannot paint, but then all means paint, and that voice will be silenced. Think of it in peace. If you hear a voice telling you that you cannot obtain peace, then by all means be peaceful, and that voice will be silent. Whew, wait, I got to go say that from up here. So if you hear a voice telling you that you cannot obtain peace, then by all means, move into that place of peace, and it will shut up. But it requires me to do. No one else can do that for you. Have you noticed that no one else can create that for you? They can give you an idea that you can align with, but it is your acceptance of the idea which makes it peaceful. Does that make sense? Last thing, those of us who believe in peace should work toward this end. Let us never forget that the very impulse of that movement is in a silent contemplation, the prayerful meditation, the sincere expectancy in our own minds. I expect in my mind to have peace in my relationships, to have peace in my finances, to have peace in my job and my creativity, to have peace in my health. I have the expectancy of that. And whenever there is prayer or meditation, I have the expectancy that the universe is going to provide those things. From that comes my peace of mind. From that comes all peace of mind. Are you with me? So let's do this. Is the band out there? Band. Hello. Yoo-hoo. Band. Hello. Hello? And they're all like, wait, what? So, we're going to do the one thing that we ended our meditation with this song. We're going to end it now. We're going to end this talk like this. We're going to go back into the peace song. I want you to think of every single word that you're singing. Because if we're going to establish a world that works for everybody and try and work in that intention and direction, that's what I'll say. If we're going to work in that intention and that direction, it's going to require each and every one of us to focus on that. So let's turn the lights down one more time, William. Let's close our eyes, take a deep breath in. Taking all those ideas that were about retraining our minds, allowing peace to not stand outside the door, but to reside with it inside ourselves. To look at the outside world and know that inside I will live side by side with these things and I will not be moved or shaken. I will stand in my spiritual authority, which is peace. I want you to think right now what it means to have peace in your relationships. Is there something you need to do, some action, some eye to eye, hand to hand, personal action you need to take to reestablish peace in a relationship? What about health? Is there something you can take as action to align yourself with peace when it comes to your health? and your financial security? What would it take for you to feel peace in your finances and in your abundance? And what action can you take to establish that peace? And if you're bored when you get up in the morning, you don't know what to do, or if you have a job that you don't like, you want a new one, what would it mean to be peaceful in your work and your creativity? What action can you take to create that peace? And now let's expand it out just a little bit more and say, what can I do in my community, my neighborhood, my community, my city, to work toward building a better world for all people? How can I approach my attitude with dealing with other people who are of different cultures, religions? How can I create that peace? Because it's already within me. I just need to tap into it. One more deep breath in.